All right. So let's just get this going. So I want to welcome you all. We're officially starting recording now. And the reason for the open house is often I find when I give a straight presentation that there is no interaction with the community. So I really don't know what and why you attended and how I can help you. So this is why I love doing reunions or open houses, so that we can actually find out more about what your needs are and have that level of communication, interaction, and connection, which is what this particular program is all about. And as you acupuncturists probably have realized, this particular program is about the fire element, because it's about reaching out and connecting. So that's what this open house is about. It's reaching out, connecting, answering your questions, making sure that, at least, if you decide not to sign up for our program, that you go away feeling inspired and that you've taken away some juicy tips. So I'm going to come back off. Well, actually, let me see what's next. See if I could. Well, I'm going to leave this for a little bit, but Shelley, remind me that we always start with yawning, and I'm going to come back to introduce Shelley, that we always start with this. So Shelley, I'm going to let's see if I can pin you. And I want to welcome more people who are coming on. Michelle, let me see. Okay, so Shelley is assisting me today, and Shelley has taken the whole natural facial rejuvenation online. You've never done it with me in person, have you? I don't think you've even been to one of our little bonus sessions. No, no. But I did meet you 20 years ago when I assisted the Ray Castellino prenatal and birth trauma, over 20 years ago now. And you are a fully qualified biodynamic craniosacral practitioner. And I know that there are biodynamic craniosacral practitioners on the line or that will be watching the replay. So welcome, Shelley. And Shelley, when some of the questions are coming in, I'm going to put you on the spot. Yeah, and I know you asked for this. You said you wanted to come and participate and wanted to kind of learn the next step with this work and about helping to take it out into the world in your own right, in your own practice. And you've already been working with people privately, but what we want is for people to be able to share this at a much more global level. Yeah. Anything, Shelley, you'd like to share before we start jumping into questions?
Well, I just want to say that I'm really excited to be here, and this program, along with all the other programs that Susan teaches, because I've been following her for a while now, is life-changing. And as she says, how we actually work with deep into the body. So it's like you're healing from the inside out, and it's going to show through your face and the way you respond to people or relate, or the way you connect. And so, trauma and different conditionings that happen to us early on or throughout our lives can make us start showing that in our face. And this is one way that's really simple. You can do yourself, and it is amazing. So I always have said my mom's genes have been good to me, but Susan has just made me light up. So I welcome you to all do that as well. It's amazing. It's amazing.
I'm very honored, Shelley, that you decided 2.5 years ago. That was with the very first special, the only special that we've ever offered, the COVID special. And we're still working together, aren't we, doing the 5 elements of trauma healing. But this one is the one I always lead with, this program, because it is the fire element, and it is about building resources, because you can't work with trauma unless you're in touch with your resources. there are too many programs that are all about digging into trauma. And people then tend to get reactivated and more traumatized. And that's not what this is about. So, okay, let's dive into some of the questions. Let me see if I can pull up my share. It looks a little bit different. I'm in transition, so I'm in somebody else's home, so I don't have all my normal tools here. Let me see. It seems like I've got to unpin us. I'll try. And what I'm going to do is that we'll answer some of our questions that have come in, and then we'll open it up to you, the group, and then we'll answer some more, and then we'll open it up. We kind of go back and forth so that we get as much of your questions covered as possible, that you who are live, and also the ones who are going to be watching this later. So, Shelley, pop quiz. Why do we yawn? Why do we yawn? Yeah.
Oh, yes, and stretch with it too, because it actually helps to reset your nervous system. It settles, it brings breath back into our body, and it's very normalizing and regulating, where if we're anxious and everything, just stretch and yawn and move your body, and see this little one here who's just settling. Mama's patting it on the back and it's settling. Can you sense that in yourself as you do it? That's why we ask people to feel free to yawn. I think it happens actually quite normally. I know sometimes when my son, who lives on the East Coast, he'll call me and we're both yawning away. And I'm just like, okay, this is, I know about this. And he's yawning, and which is good because he has a really high-paced job. And so I think you'll recognize that it happens automatically once you allow your system to settle, or invite it to settle.
Thank you, Shelley. Absolutely. And the reason we do it at the beginning of every call, and then Shelley, if you're able to, or somebody remind us at the hour, because we've got open house for 2 hours. When, just like your son with a high-paced job, what we're actually doing too is we're inviting our brain to rejuvenate. So it brings up the healthy chemicals and endorphins and takes us out of our prefrontal cortex, where we're trying to focus, into pulling back, which you biodynamic craniosacral graduates will know, pulling back like the back of the movie theater, where you're actually just in a more intuitive place. And that's when the right information and the right answers come to you. So I may be saying stuff, or Shelley may be saying stuff, and it might be too much for your cognitive brain, but your intuition will take in exactly what it wants and what it needs. So that's why we always set it up at the beginning. This is not a whole bunch of technical stuff, nor is the program that you have to learn. This is about deepening into yourself, as Shelley was saying, just going deep inside and inviting those clues to come up as to what exactly you need right now. Okay, so thank you, Shelley. So everyone's done their yawning and stretching. I can't see you all, but I'm just assuming that you are. And by the way, this is so much more fun to be able to see you when I can, as opposed to just a straight presentation. So here we'll start with a few of the questions. Why should you clear trauma in the face before using other methods? Shelley, what do you think? What would your answer be?
Well, I look at it from a cranial point of view, and also the acupressure points, because what it does is it allows you to, because we wear our trauma on our face and in our bodies, we have holding patterns that have gripped us for a long time. And once we start to actually access the nerves and start to soothe that response, because it can allow us to actually rest back into a safer place, feeling safe and feeling more at ease. When those nerves are activated, they still are holding. And when we can actually work with the cranial nerves and bring soothing technique to it, it can allow us to access those deeper, that well of potency and aliveness, our vitality can come forward and actually help to release it. So by doing this simple formula, we can access those deeper places without using really, like the machines and medications and things that actually hold that pattern in or dig those traumas deeper. So I really feel like this is a magical way of treating the body, a simple way, and doing it where we can actually feel at ease. We can bring the chemicals, the neurochemicals that bring us into our joy, make it more available and make us feel more alive and vital.
Great, thank you. And also you refer to machines, which is very common in the esthetician world and in the acupuncture world, actually. And there's nothing wrong with machines. You know, as some of you might know, I grew up in Hong Kong, and it's all about face in Hong Kong, or it was when I lived there. And so we were having facials and cosmetic stuff all the time as a teenager, and we were having these machines on us. And I was thinking nothing actually got to that place inside me where I was rigid inside. It was all about making our face look good and our hair look good. And inside I was still really tight, and I had to have these constant facials, and my skin was terrible. And I think I actually shared on a podcast that one of the Chinese friends of my parents used to say, "Susan, I used to hate looking at you." That shows how bad it was. And because Chinese are normally very polite. So for him to say that, it was a little bit of a challenge, but you know, it's good for me to remember that, because I was trying to, and my mom was trying to help me take care of the outside, and I was still rigid inside until I started working with Dr. Wong. And you know, some of you who listened to the Radiant Aging Summit heard me talk a little bit about Dr. Wong and where she started working with me from the inside. And then I could start to unwind that tension inside, and I started to connect with more of who I was as opposed to face. That's probably why I'm teaching this, yeah, because I know how bad it was. So the machines, they can be great, you know, and they're great for external, working from the outside. What Shelley's been talking about is what we're working with is from the inside. So it's not either or, it's the yang of the external and it's the yin of the internal. So there's always a dance that we do and that we teach with this, that it's not either one way, which is the biodynamic, the very yin, or the more acupuncture laser, which is the very yang. But the great thing about this system, and you'll learn this in the level 1 blueprint, is that instead of a machine that doesn't adjust to you, we're teaching you how to do listening touch. So if you're holding a point or holding, you know, an area, or you're working with, you know, a brain injury or a dental injury, you're actually listening, and the body will tell you, your face will tell you what it wants. So it may want to pull you right in, like I was working with a woman who'd just had a car accident, very bad one, and I had my finger on one of the points. Those you'll know it's bladder 1, but I wasn't doing anything. I just was listening, and her head, her brain, drew my finger in. She felt half my finger went into her brain.
Wow.
What it actually was the impact of the car accident that she'd had that pulled me right in to show me. And then when it was ready and it did its internal work, and this is the biodynamic part, it then pushed my finger out. And she was then able to go on and receive other work and do what she needed to do and take her homeopathics and her nutritional supplements for brain injury. So this is the listening part where you're listening with, in this case, my fingers were listening, pulled in my finger and then pushed it out. So it was kind of going into a very laser focus. And when you're doing that back and forth, we call that loving touch. And it's a process that we teach you in level 1. So, okay, we'll keep going. Yep. Thank you, Shelley. Let's see what we have next. So yeah, we've kind of touched on this. Why would clearing old trauma patterns in the face make me look and feel better? Yeah, Shelley answered that. Wouldn't I just feel worse? And yes, you would feel worse if you're going to keep reactivating old trauma. Yeah. That was one of the old waves. I talk a lot about that. We are teaching the third wave. One of the older waves was you go after the trauma. My somatic psychology background was you break down the armor. Yeah, and then we all felt terrible. 4 years of breaking down the armor was, and I just watched people keeping on recreating the same old patterns. So no, when you're focused on resourcing and being comfortable and supported and safe, then the old patterns can start to melt away. Yeah. Then after that, the other methods that you might be using, the external, the machines, the acupuncture, whatever you're doing, facials, estheticians, we have a lot of wonderful estheticians who've gone through this program, then all of that can hold much more easily because it's not fighting that tension that's inherent that could have been there since birth. So, Shelley, if I'm a body worker or a healer, why should I work specifically with the face?
Well, the face is access to all of the cranial nerves. And being a craniosacral therapist, this has really drawn me into a deeper understanding and appreciation of how we can access those cranial nerves to really bring that deeper sensitivity into the body. Knowing from my own experiences with birth traumas and different things like that, I was able to actually blossom after being, having some traumas to the face or as a child falls and different things that created it. And so specifically, I think, it's a shame not to include that in a body work because of all the acupressure points that are available, the soothingness of the facial, how a mother goes to a baby and holds its face, automatically and instantaneously allows that baby to settle. Well, we can do that for ourselves. We can, when we're even in a stressful situation, most people are going for body work to de-stress and slow down and all of those good things that actually do help us. But the face is an actual entry point into really accessing the cranial system and to help ourselves regulate and not be so spun out with the jobs and the fast pace of traffic or dramas and things that are going on in our world, especially now. And so I think the face is a beautiful way to help someone really feel and access those really sensitive places in our body that are holding the patterns that are there.
Absolutely, thank you. And you acupuncturists will know that all the meridians in the body end up in the face.
Mhm.
And we started teaching this, I first started teaching the lazy way to looking good in 1992, but Mary Louise and I started teaching in 2008, and what we realized was when people got off the table, and this was with the live work, they just looked so lit up, and we were just working with the face, and it was like, whoa, this is like a long, deep bodywork session and more, because there was the oxytocin. And in recent years, there's been this incredible research about how working directly with the face and doing some of the things that we teach in level 1 and level 2 has been corroborated with this amazing research. So I was like, I remember saying to Mary Louise, this is amazing. We didn't know it. We've been in the trenches teaching this and watching and getting feedback from students. And now here's the proof from Western medical research. Okay, so let me see. Let's do one more. Well, what does my face have to do with birth trauma? Shelley touched on that. For me personally, I had forceps when I was born, so I hated actually anything on my face, hated headphones, always had this internal headache behind my eyes, which was the sphenoid and the forceps, and just ended up going to doctor after doctor, and just nobody could help. And it was all held, and I show these photographs of how dreadful I looked when I was a teenager, because it was all held so tightly in my face, and it affected my whole body. It affected my stomach, it affected the way I breathe, it affected everything. And I looked stressed and strained and taut, and it wasn't fun. And as I unlocked these pieces, everything was able to relax. So I'm very grateful to Dr. Wong first. Beauty industry misleading women with massive myths that turn women against themselves and cause more trauma. I think a lot of this hopefully was covered in the rest of Dr. East's Radiant Aging Summit. But I remember being shocked years ago looking at some of the beauty magazines advertising some major surgery, cosmetic surgery. And, in coming from LA like I did, that's part of the industry. It goes with the territory, as a lot of people that I've worked with have told me. And I remember these ads going, you owe it to yourself, don't listen to anyone else. You owe it to yourself to do this intense, highly expensive surgeries. And I know so many people that have done it, worked with so many people. And I remember an 80-year-old woman, she still plays tennis, she's very active, and she was a wardrobe mistress in the movie industry. And she said she was made to very early because of what she did. And she said, Susan, please tell people not to do it. I'm 80, I've had to have several surgeries, don't do it. Right. So nothing wrong if you've done it. There's all kinds of things you can do to, balance and support yourself. But there are I just want you to know there are thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of women that are desperately looking for other options. And I know we've got some estheticians signed up on this call. You can help them. You can help hopefully get to them before they do these surgeries that cut the acupuncture meridians. You can get to them to help them with their deeper sense of self-love before they get to needing to have surgery after surgery. Okay, because one surgery never ends. Yeah, it's not just one. And some of you will know I mentioned a guy called Maxwell Maltz who developed psycho-cybernetics. Was it back in the 70s, I think? And he was a plastic surgeon, which I never knew before. And he basically said it doesn't matter how brilliant the surgery was that he did on his, super high celebrity clients, they still hated themselves. The women still hated themselves. So that's what drove him deeper to start searching, is how could he help them start to begin that self-love process. Yeah. So that's really part of our mission here is, okay, there's nothing wrong with what you've done. Please don't judge yourself or you have clients, but there are other ways that are also really important. I'm going to open up for a few. We've done some of these, very common questions that have come in. Let's see if I can go to gallery. If anybody would like to ask a direct question, since you have us here. I see lots of people who are not, we don't see their pictures, and I understand that because I think there's a big thing called Zoom fatigue. If you want to, if you have any questions, feel free, otherwise we'll keep going. Jessica, welcome. Nice to see your face again.
I have a question. It was
Yes.
either something you said or Shelley said. I had this flashback to being in 5th grade. There were a lot of mean girls in the back and they used to torture me. And so I decided that my best way to survive would be to learn to look mean. And so I practiced every day looking in the mirror, trying to look really mean, and it changed my face. I had forgotten that until you were talking. So I would.
So is that why you're on the call today, Jessica?
No, but I think that would be a bonus.
That would be a bonus. Yeah. We had somebody on one of my prior presentations, and she said people were always scared of me because I had this big, deep line on my face. And people were always scared. And she said, actually, and I was actually told when I was I think she was doing a volunteer at summer camp, and she was told that she had to get rid of that look, that frown that she didn't even know she had, because it was scaring people. And through the biodynamic craniosacral, that started to change and heal. But interesting, huh? How you decided to look mean in order yeah. So here's what we're teaching really, is to have that flexibility, that if we need to be mean and fierce, that wood energy, then we are, it's a righteous fierceness. But we can go from, yin to yang and be soft and open when we need, and none of it's an effort. So Jessica, thank you for that insight. That there's another actual little tip. This is from my background, not just as, Oriental medicine, but as a doctor of functional medicine. A lot of people don't realize, they're all told that they have to take their calcium, for bone loss, and that's a big deal. When you're actually eating well and your gut is healthy, then your bones are going to be healthy. But what they're often not told is to take the K2 as well. Now, this tip came from a colleague of mine, and I was like, well, of course. And what they were saying, this was a guy actually, he was saying a lot of people get their Botox and they're taking so much calcium, and that calcium is calcifying the wrinkles. Okay. So isn't that amazing? People don't think of that. Calcium, what's happening? It gets deposited in areas other than the bones. So it can get deposited in arteries and bone spurs and tissue. And the vitamin K2 helps it stay in the bone and not in the wrong places. I never thought of it as calcifying wrinkles. So if you work with people with deep wrinkles, make sure that they're getting their K2 with their calcium. Okay. And especially if they decide they want Botox, you don't want all that calcified, the Botox and the wrinkles calcified. So anyway, a little tip. All right. Well, thank you, Jessica. So anybody else want to ask a question, or shall we keep going with our questions that have already come in? Sounds like everyone's quiet. So we'll keep going. Okay, and keep going for those who will be watching later. Okay, so Shelley, I've heard working with the face is the fastest way to heal early bonding and trauma issues. Really?
Yes, it is. There are people in the pre and perinatal world that actually have kind of pioneered the work around the true need for bonding at an early age. And if that bonding doesn't happen, it can lead to traumatic issues in the child and their ability to bond. Early bonding stimulates the oxytocin in the brain. And that is what Dr. Porges, who's famous for studying this type of thing, states that, the oxytocin actually is a love potion. It allows us to be joyful and to connect with our parents or other people. When we don't have that stimulation, it can impair us from reaching out and connecting. That's what we're doing here today. We're reaching out and connecting with one another to learn from one another. And that stimulates something, I don't know about you, but inside of me, that I feel joyful. I feel like, this is the kind of community I love being around, and actually hearing other people's experiences. Jessica, you shared a wonderful, insight on for yourself. And to me, that will, bring forward our healthy hormones so that we can settle and actually bond with others, with our parents, and when that is not stimulated, the brain in early childhood can be hardwired to be in a stress or a threat response all the time. And that impairs that child for reaching out, because maybe they couldn't see the cues or the safe cues that a parent would have given them, or a caregiver, or maybe a teacher, or a bully at school, that had an impact on us. And so we're constantly in that stress response. And this type of work actually helps us to find those safety cues in ourselves and in others. There's research showing how facial expressions will make people respond differently, but sometimes, like autistic children, or may have no capacity to actually connect with the eyes. And so it's really, really important to work with these aspects with children and adults, or anyone that's still having those guarded stress response actions and behaviors that really limit them and hold them back. And so, yes, again, to start early with little ones and help them to find that bonding space, to be able to make, sometimes it's the birth trauma that has to be healed in order to open them up to the oxytocin and feeling that flood through themselves, so that they can feel safe and know that there's true love there. And so anyway, the cranial nerves and all of the acupressure points are going to stimulate these healthy hormones. And I think no better way to get there. There's no chemicals involved. It's internal chemicals inside, which is wonderful. So, and we can do it ourselves. That's the beauty.
Fantastic. Yes, it's about empowering, each one of you to hold that place for yourself and your patients and clients, to really trust and use those internal chemicals to light you up. I actually have had a lot of feedback from practitioners, graduates, who have been using this with their own children even. I had a nurse who when she was doing the training, it was a live training. She would go back every night and her 10-year-old would insist on getting worked on, and she would just go fast asleep, just like that, just out like a light with this work. So, the mom, I'm aware of what that, little girl's early birth trauma patterns were. And so the mom was just very lovingly, gently holding that place. And that is one of the key things of this whole program, is that when you hold that bigger perspective of what you're doing, you're not just holding points or bones, or you're actually holding this huge capacity of the depth that can be touched within yourself or your clients, so that you're inviting shifts to happen. You're not doing it, you're not fixing them. There's lots of modalities that fix, and that's very necessary, but you're just holding space and trusting that the body you're working with, including yourself, knows exactly what to do. And that is the deepest level of healing. That is very, very profound. There's all kinds of names to call it, but I'll just try and keep it very simple, not go into too much jargon. So great. Thank you, Shelley. Yeah, so these early bonding attachment patterns we can work with directly through the face. And something else you alluded to, Shelley, the body feels love through safety and touch. Now, we can say, I love you to a child, but it can just go straight over it, the child. Whereas if that child is being held with this very loving space, they will get it and they will feel the love. So, okay, let's go back. So I'm going to keep going a little, because I'm going to jump into some of the other questions. I think most people should know who Susan and Mary Louise are. Mary Louise is my co-teacher who created this. She's a very gifted biodynamic craniosacral teacher. She's actually, what is she? She's in her mid-70s, so she's retired right now, but her legacy comes on. And Shelley asked if she could start participating and supporting this work, and how fun that is for me, because, as Shelley and I shared earlier, we both love to connect and communicate and interact, and it's much more fun to do things together. And hopefully, we'll be working with you, connecting with us, those of you on the call. So I'm going to move forward, and then let me see. Okay. So Shelley talked about the joy, and we've talked about the resources, which is the fire element. And so we really focus on building the resources, and especially during these stressful times, which is one of the reasons I made this very special offer again. People are super stressed. There's supposed to be another wave of the pandemic coming, and inflation and all kinds of horrible things in the news. Yeah. But we do have this, I'm doing this special offer. If you want to join us and get support and start really focusing on bringing in these joy grooves. I remember speaking to somebody recently, I think it was you, Sophia. I'm not sure if you're on the call right now, but Sophia is an esthetician and a body worker. And I was talking about how we're told to hate the lines in our faces, and especially our crow's feet, for example. And Mary Louise and I came up with the term of the love lines. Babies need to see mothers' love lines. They will then feel safe. If it's all Botoxed away, as Dr. Porges talks about, they don't feel safe. Yeah? So we want to help you to help people, women across the world, and guys too, to help transform, especially during these times. This has never been so important, and this is such a joyful way of holding space that Shelley and I both want to share this. So I think a lot of you have the action guide. If not, the companion guide, just email me. East would have sent it to you all. But here's level 1. Yeah. So first it's level 1, and that's the blueprint. So it's like the architectural plans. You get the blueprint, and that is normally people buy that from us, throughout the year for $4.97 or $5.97 if you want the hard copy. So that covers the blueprint, listening touch, laser touch, loving touch, and gives you the basics. Then we go into the heart and science of transformation, level 1 and 2, which is what this whole program that we're offering you is. And that is, I describe it as, you've got the plans, like the architectural plans, okay? And with level 2, we go deeper into you, who you are, in a very loving, gentle way. It's not about digging into trauma, but it's helping you to complete old cycles, old patterns, things that stop you from being loving and gentle to yourself. Maybe like for Jessica, that's a great example. You know, she might have got frozen. Not that when I met you, just live, Jessica, you looked mean at all. But you know, Jessica might have got that frozen piece where a cycle got stopped, where she didn't actually get to complete it, so that she could actually flow in and out from mean when she needs that strong wood energy, or soft and gentle, you know, in the earth element, or you know, out there and sparkly in the fire element, for example. So this is where we then come in, and I do the live coaching calls. So you do the work. There are videos and you know, transcripts and stuff. None of it's terribly hard work, but it's really helping you reflect on yourself and go inward, and gives you skills. You certainly have skills that you get to work with partners and clients, but a lot of it is for you too. And then we meet up with the coaching calls where we answer questions, and I do live demos, little mini healings to teach you how you can do this online if you choose, you know, because, you know, if more waves are coming and there are more lockdowns, you know, I don't want anyone's practice to suffer from being shut down. You know, as I shared on the call with Dr. East, my practice didn't suffer at all. Yeah, we didn't miss a beat. So because I had these extra tools, and I had kind of transitioned from just one-on-one, which I love, I still love it, and I still love working with the biodynamic and the acupuncture at the same time. But I'm also able to create probably a better effect on Zoom, because people can take it away with them and use it. So, you know, can you let yourself radiate sparkles from the inside out? This is what I call the third wave, where we're not constantly going after trauma. We're not constantly going after another technique, you know, or another device. And all those things are great, and they can be extremely helpful, or the next nutritional supplement. And I use herbs and nutrition in my practice. But this is about letting that, it's like an electrical current, a sparkle that radiates inside you and touches others. So we have the live coaching calls, which is every 2 weeks. I know one of you has emailed asking for dates, so I'll get into that. So we review the skills you'll have learned, and then I demo with you exactly how you can work with clients online, whether it's babies that Shelley's talking about. We've worked with a lot of babies and families and adults, and we do the mini NFR healings, but it's about you first, okay? And a lot of practitioners have shared with us that, you know, they've got all these skills in their biodynamic world. Biodynamic craniosacral, I think, is better than acupuncture at self-care. Acupuncture, I think, you know, we've got the meditation and Tai Chi, Qigong, but there's a level of self-care that the biodynamics craniosacral teaching is about. And yet I've had so many practitioners come to me, very skilled practitioners, who then will say, Susan, you know, I'm really good at this with others, but this is the first time I actually stopped and turned all this loving attention to myself. So that's music to my ears, where we just pause and go, okay, it's my turn, my turn. Here's Julianne. I think, Julianne, you're going to listen to the call. I think I saw you sign up. Julianne is from Germany, and she did one of the early online. I think she did our first online whole program. I told us that she's a polarity, a therapist, and she was feeling, you know, that she wanted something to uplift her and re-inspire her. And here she says, I feel as if I'm living now on a different level, more calm, more feeling safe, more integrated in myself, more organized, more having trust in my way to work. and I've got so much new information and knowledge to study and work with. I feel more happy. Wow. Julianne, I know it's very late in Germany, but if you were on the call, I would love to know how you're doing now. Here is Anne. So this is, rejuvenate your practice, rejuvenate your practice. I feel more grounded and more assertive without being aggressive. I'll use Jessica's word, or mean. I have new clients, so something's shifted. Thank you both. It's been an incredible experience. I'm in total awe of the amount of love and energy you have put into creating such an amazing special program. Thank you, Anne, Reiki Master. But this is, so that's lovely. But I just want to remind you that, others might see someone after Botox or surgery, yep, or head injury, or the autistic children, yep, where something has shut down in their brain. And Dr. Porges has been doing a lot of work with autistic children with his research. He has created something called the Safe and Sound Project, where he's using the face, the eyes, and the sound. So if people have had their meridians blocked, or they've had some kind of heartbreak or trauma that's caused them to withdraw their heart from their face, which happens with trauma when there's a break in the flow between the heart and the face, which should be normal and natural, then they may shut down or disconnect. So the person who's gone through that may have no idea. Like the person I shared with you who had this big frown until the camp leader said, you're scaring the kids. She didn't know. I don't know what kind of trauma she'd had that caused that to happen, that showed up in her face. So that person may never know. There are so many people walking around in the world, and they don't know why they can't connect. I'm sure that when I was a teenager and in my 20s, I didn't know why nobody wanted to connect with me, and I was very, very lonely. It's completely different now. I'm in a brand new place, and we've got so many new friends that it's like unbelievable. And I know it's because my face has shifted. I've shifted, actually. So that's a good living ongoing experiment. So you can help these people. Okay, and I hope every one of you, on the call, watching the replay, really takes this in. It doesn't require decades of training. And Shelley and I have talked about this a lot. It doesn't require, all these, actually, Jessica, we were talking about this, weren't we? It doesn't require all these degrees. I mean, I've got tons of 4-year trainings I've done, somatic psychology and acupuncture and teaching acupuncture, and Ray Castellino training, and Barbara Brennan training for 4 years, and functional medicine and biodynamic craniosacral. So all of this, that didn't teach me how to drop inside and to be able to help these people at a completely different level. So you can help these people, and you can help them trust themselves, have faith in themselves, have a belief that who they are is worth sharing, that they can share their face and their heart with the world and shine and not be frozen out or shut down or bullied or being mean to. Often when we're shining, if we shone a lot as a kid, people didn't like that. It's scary. And what we're doing here is saying the time is now. It's time to move through those old decisions, those old blocks, and come out and share your face, not like this person, but share who you are share your heart through your face. It's doable. I promise.
Stop picking on.
So here's Cheryl. I've loved able to go deeper into my own presence. Cheryl is somebody who was going, biodynamic craniosacral and a health coach, and was saying, I've never taken care of myself like I could do it for others. I feel empowered. Stargazing helped me shift into seeing myself for the first time. That's amazing. And here, I'm able to help clients see immediate shifts over issues they've spent decades feeling overwhelmed by. I feel empowered. So, these are skilled practitioners. And here's my beloved Aunt Susan, who also inspired me with her touch for beauty. So rejuvenating yourself, you'll learn to work with your own space, of course, Yeah, I hope you know that by now. Of course, this is where we're reversing it from taking care of everybody else first to us. Oxygen mask on us first. Working with external tensions that create stress and lines and tightness in your face. And also, so that's the external, your internal Shen, your inner sense of well-being and the spirit of your heart. And from there, you can help your clients, families, and your community, which is my goal. Yep. So rejuvenating your practice, you'll be learning to make a massive difference during these challenging times. Now, I feel that the skills we're teaching and the feedback we're getting from people and the way we've been connecting with, some of our recent students, and I think some of them signed up for this call, and even though they know this stuff, just to reconnect, it's been incredibly heartwarming. I'll speak for myself, to connect with people in, in Thailand and New Zealand and Australia and Canada and France. So there's this ripple effect that goes from you, let me go back, to your loved ones, clients, families, and helps them to continue, to share their love through their hearts and their faces. And when your heart opens, your face opens. When your face opens, your heart can open. It's bi-directional. And then you can help their social engagement system by just being you. So this is Dr. Porges' stuff, as well as Chinese medicine, as well as biodynamic craniosacral. Here, I don't know if you're on the call. Some of you, I think, did sign up. This was Mount Shasta. So I'm saying it takes commitment to shift from the trauma grooves to the joy grooves. It takes repetition. It takes being in community with others who've gone before you and who are walking by side. This group, this was probably our last big live event. We were maxed out very fast. And this group, we videoed them. They were, and I want to thank any of you on the call, that we videoed you. You put up with all kinds of stress and trauma, probably. And we drew on the energies of the healing land of Mount Shasta and the healing waters of Mount Shasta. So it was the yang and the yin and the wood, and all the elements were there. And you will be following them. So we've got videos of them learning the techniques. Mary Louise does demos. I do demos. And then you get their shares for those of you who love to connect. If you're a speedy person, like a lot of acupuncturists are, you get the techniques. And if you like to go deeper, which is more the biodynamic community, you'll follow up, you'll see what happened as they started, as they moved through, as they lit up, as their hearts opened and what they shared. So some of you, if you remember from the Dr. Porges, the Dr. East call, the radiant aging, or even the Kate White call some of you are from, Dr. Porges talks about conforming. So here we are, at the end of our program. It was a 6-day program, and we're all on our best behavior. People are looking good. And then we go, it takes community. And here they are all again, looking very good. And then we go into conforming. Okay, and if you remember, that is Dr. Porges, when the whole body relax, our hearts open, we feel safe, we light up. So if you can see this group, so here they are. It's very different. They're in there. Here we are, we're all on our best behavior. We feel good, fine, we're fine. But here we're connecting. See the difference? Yep. Here we're just fine.
Right.
There,
Right.
we're connecting.
Right.
Just letting you see how that lands
You're afraid.
inside you. Yeah, it's more of a physical sensation where hearts are open, walls are down, faces, no matter how much trauma, and a lot of these people went through a ton of trauma. I know a couple of you have signed up, and I just really want to watch this call, and I just really want to honor you and what you went through, what you were going through during the training. Yeah, some major accidents, major surgeries, major head trauma, as well as deep emotional trauma too. But and you hung in with us, and you got honored, hopefully honored, and you shared, and Look at you now. So, you know, that those of you who are watching this, we'd love to know, send us emails, let us know how you're doing now. But thank you, all of you, each one of you, for being the inspiration for I think this is going to be the third, maybe it's the fourth training after you, that you have inspired people all over the world. So I just want to really give big thanks to you, each one of you here. So you'll know who you are. So, you know, it takes commitment, it takes repetition, it takes being in community with others who've gone before you and walking by your side. I'm going to just check in with Shelley, because people have asked about talking to someone live who's done this. Shelley, how was that? Did you feel online? Because that group was live, yeah? Yes, we've done live events that have been small, but bonus. Our last one was the end of 2015, our bonus events. I think 10 people max. But how was that for you? Just so people know. Yeah. Did you feel in community? Did you feel supported?
Oh, absolutely. My community was all over the world, and it was so amazing to connect with people, like-minded people that really had the same goals for themselves and for their clients or their families to connect in this way. It was amazing to watch the little demos that you would do during our coaching calls and see the depth. You know, I've done a lot of trainings with Ray Castellino in the birth process workshops, and how those skills were used to do it online. It inspired me to even do more work online with my clients. I do now work with people for the pre and perinatal, and working with the natural facial rejuvenation online. And it's amazing because as a biodynamic craniosacral therapy, and I think any therapist holds the bigger, not just this person or this muscle or this bone or whatever that we're working with, but we're actually holding a whole field and feeling the contact. Yes,
Huge.
it's huge. And how you can connect with the other participants in a way that is so effective when you allow it, when you invite that connection. It does speak to us. The field is amazing. And so I found that not only was it really beneficial, but it was so inspiring to me. And the community is, you know, the people that I've worked with throughout the trainings that I've done with Susan are still in connection with me. You know, we still reach out to one another and support one another. And so you can have that. It's a beautiful thing. So I encourage you, if you're hesitating at all, it's more than you think. And I feel like, you know, I always like to say it's like a sensitivity training, being sensitive to yourself so that you can rest in your authentic essence and be proud of it, to show it and not to hide it or, you know, tuck it away or alter it, you know, whatever, that you can actually be yourself and be met in that way. That's hard to do these days with all the masking and the social distancing and everything else to even connect with others. But this is one avenue to really allow us to feel our humanity, and to really embrace those sparkling, shining individuals that are just waiting to be seen and touched and heard.
Oh, well, lovely, Shelley. Thank you for that. And I have to say, it's been completely mutual, you know, with your group, because I think you were the last NFR group, yeah, that I offered. That was 2.5 years ago. And then we went on to doing the other elements. And for me, it blew me away that yes, the one-on-ones are lovely, but when we were doing the demos, you know, sometimes somebody made a huge aha and a shift in 15 minutes, or even half an hour, that the power of the group working together is what gave us the potency for those shifts. So that one person sharing who they are and being met by the others, which is using the Castellino birth training work, just took it to whole new realms. It wasn't, and I love doing one-on-one sessions, you know, as we all do, and yet doing the group session on Zoom, which I didn't realize would work, was incredible. So yeah, so I've learned a lot too, and especially with your group, Shelley, because you all came from tremendously different backgrounds. And I think, Jessica, you have a friend who's a midwife, don't you? We have Inga, the midwife in New Zealand, you know, with her background and all the different backgrounds and skills that came. I'm so in awe and honored with all the skills and professions, and we all went to another level. So, you know, together we can. I totally believe with a community like you lot, all of you, we can change the world. So cool. Thank you, Shelley. That's great. So yeah, it does take commitment. It does take repetition, which is what we do, but it takes, and if this little girl, I love this little picture, you'll see this again. Here, scientists have determined, I'll just kind of send you away with this fun thing. Scientists have determined that it takes approximately 400 repetitions to create a new synapse in the brain. So Jessica, the synapse from mean girl to happy girl, can take 400 repetitions, in quotes, unless it's done with play. In which case it takes between 10 to 20 repetitions. So, you know, it makes repetition a lot more fun. It makes meeting up. And I can't believe, I'm so impressed with, you know, how many, who's shown up for every class, no matter what the challenges have been. You've shown up, the ones who show up do the best, and you've hung in, and I've watched you online make your transformations. So all of you who are going to be watching this, who are part of this group we're talking about, bravo. Yeah. So this is evidence, yeah, that human physiology is fine-tuned for learning through play. So which element is that? Of course, you acupuncturists all know what play is, the fire element. And all children know this. So can we catch up? So, and a ripple effect. Victoria was in contact with me on Facebook, and she's a biodynamic craniosacral practitioner, very experienced, and her story is on rejuvenatemyface.com, and she wanted me to share something, but here's what she's always shared, is that her husband and the guys love this too. That's something that she always sticks up for. The guys love it too. Yeah. So we want this ripple effect, not just through us women, definitely helping the women, but also the guys. Here's, you know, some of you know this already, and I think you all know this, and we've got the same model that we had 2.5 years ago, even though there's inflation, and even though with the buddies, I'm not even breaking even, but it's worth it to me. So 50% off the program makes it $9.97. Yep. Level 1 is self-paced. So as soon as you sign up, you can get started with level 1 and practice that blueprint. And you've got time through the summer, and we will start in September. Somebody emailed me today, was it Beverly? I can't remember, asking, you know, when the calls start so that she can get to sort out her schedule. And it will be late September. It's every 2 weeks, and it's a Thursday. That seems to work the best. Well, it seemed to work the best with our international group. I think this group is possibly more America oriented and Canada. But 4 to 6 seems to work on a Thursday for most people. We did have somebody, didn't we, Shelley, in our current group, who's been up at 2 in the morning from France, because she did the program before, and she found the live coaching calls and the archives were very helpful, but
Yeah.
she realized she wanted that live support. So she, and bravo, Anne Claire, if you watch this, for staying up, or you'd go to sleep, wouldn't you? And then you'd wake up, set the alarm and wake up, and at 2 o'clock in the morning your time, because you found that the live support was so valuable. And then we pay you up with different buddies each time, so that you can, I'll give you assignments that you then get to practice with. You know, always lovely if you can practice with live people, of course, and you know, your family, your clients, your friends. And even if you don't have that, over the years we have had people say, you know, what if I don't have anyone I can practice with? And yes, we will pay you up each time with different people, so that you get different experiences and different backup and support. So September, probably it will be the 3rd week of September. I will tie that down, and I'll let all of you know who've signed up as soon as I've had a chance to get my dates down. As I say, we are a little bit in transition, so I'm trying to work it around having a permanent internet as opposed to a friend's house. I'm in the middle of the mountains here. So yes, so that gives you a chance to get the blueprint done. And then if you want to get started with level 2 in advance, just you send me an email, say, you know, I've completed level 1, and then you do level 2. Level 1 is where you get your 18 CEUs. So the good news for anyone who's a biodynamic craniosacral practitioner is it's 18 for level 1. And for level 2, I think, I don't know what you got, Shelley, but 30, it's
30.
yes, I've added it up to 30. So I don't know what people are getting as biodynamic craniosacral, but you do get a lot of credit for level 2, because we're on a lot of live calls, and we're doing a lot of tutoring. Yeah. So you get the best benefit of everybody. So you get the 18 CEUs for level 1, and you get the 30 for level 2. And I think that was also covered if you do happen to be in Australia or New Zealand, they also got credit too, for the Pacific group, biodynamic craniosacral group. For acupuncture, we definitely have the California CEUs, and we're pending for the NCCAOM, and that's 18. If you don't need CEUs yet, you just don't take your quiz until you're ready. Okay, if you need CEUs like next year, that's when you take your quiz, and that's when you'll get your 18 CEUs, and you fill out the evaluation. So you can be extremely flexible with your CEUs. And as I said, all calls are recorded. I think you all have the website, rejuvenatemyface.com, Radiant Aging. And we have been asked about this buddy option. Let me see. Yes. Buddy option. If you really can't find somebody and need help, then contact me. Okay. And the best thing, the first thing we want you to do is find somebody that you love to work with, that you can do this together. And once you've found that buddy, then I will give you the promo codes, and you will then get to sign in separately, and you do your program separately. So the only initial thing is, you know, coming together with somebody, another buddy. If you're really, really, really stuck and need help, then contact me, because there may be other people who don't know anyone and need help. Okay, so that's something that we don't, you know, usually encourage, because, you know, that is at less than our cost.
Yeah.
But you know, if people are really stuck, given that the times are so challenging with COVID and inflation and stress and anxiety, and you never, people don't know what's happening next, you know, we're willing to do that, to do our part to help out. Let me see. I do have a young woman. I love her. She's in England with a mental health condition, and she put herself through the program, had no one to practice on, not even her mother, and she is now taking this out into the world because she loves the work so much. and the meds were disfiguring her face. So, she periodically emails me. I think I last heard from her a month ago, and I think she signed up to do the program maybe 5-6 years ago. And she is now taking this out into the world, and I'm so proud of her. And she's in her mid-20s, or she was when she started. So that's pretty exciting that, even people with no qualifications, and I have encouraged her to get her massage qualifications so that she's got more training, but she just loves this work. And this is Victoria, who wanted me to post this. This will be great. I trained with them long ago. I think she was like 2009 probably, and they are terrific, Victoria. Her story is on the website because she had a car accident like 30 years before, and we were videoing everyone, and they got off the table, and she's like holding her head like here and going, I've had this dent in my head. I don't know, Victoria, I think you were going to sign up to watch this. So it's a good memory. A dent in my head that always felt creepy from this car accident. And then she's looking like all sparkly and oxytocin, and like, it's gone. So that's Victoria. She just wanted to put in her little.
That's right.
It's time to do a yawn.
Oh, great. Yes, thank you, Shelley. Absolutely. So time to yawn. And can anyone remember what happens when we yawn? Anyone want to share?
Relax.
Relax. Yes. And
Love ourselves.
yes. Well done. Hey, you're really on track. And
Project it back out.
well, absolutely. Yes, because you're bringing the brain into balance. Like I might have been concentrating too much here, getting this information to you, and it just helps us pull back, get all the healthy chemicals in that nourish the brain. If we're too focused, we wear out the brain. Yeah, we wear out the neurons. And when we yawn and stretch, we're increasing the BDNF. Does anyone know what that is? You acupuncturists, I'm going to ask you, those of you going to be watching it, the brain-derived neurotrophic factor. So that helps the synapses, helps the brain, and helps us just pull back, relax, and take in more the right things that we're supposed to be taking in. So Shelley, thank you. Thank you for that reminder. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me, and let me see what are the other questions that we wanted to get back to. Let's see. Keep going with our questions. Where did our questions go? Okay. Okay. So we've talked about, so the body option was what sent me into that next piece, because I was being asked. Shelley, what do you think? Are some of these tips and stuff that we've been talking about, are they fast for people who, to do as a daily resource? Yes. People who barely have time to do anything?
I think it's worth making the time to do this. And it is fast.
That's true. It's worth making the time.
There's a 5-minute rejuvenator skill that you're going to learn that is so beneficial. And there are longer ones, but this is all you need. I mean, who doesn't have time when you're settling into bed where you could take some time for yourself and do those points and those strokes, and it's worth the commitment to really make space for yourself. and it will calm you. It'll help you with your sleep. It'll help you to love yourself, you know, and become sensitive to yourself so that you can realize what a beautiful person you are from the inside and the outside. I swear it is so simple and so beautiful and transforming. You'll be happy you did it.
Oh, well, thank you, Shelley. Yes. Yeah, you're right. I actually hadn't thought of that at night. So I'm learning from you. Yes. I do. I in level 2, I teach what I do in 30 seconds every morning. And then that kind of wakes me up for the day. It's Dr. Wong's protocol. But yes, to do it at night and to do, you know, you'll learn the turtling, very self-soothing, self-regulating, and that helps you to co-regulate with others in a very easy, gentle way. You're right. You are
Jessica
right.
says in her chat, I can't wait.
Oh, Jessica. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, can't wait to have you join us. All right, so you're right. Shelley, see, that's why it's fun to do this in community. Yep, already. I wouldn't be having half as much fun, Shelley, if I wasn't doing this. Yeah. So thank you for, you know, kind of being the catalyst.
Yes.
I think doing this, you know, at night can be very, very restorative and relaxing. So the way in community we learn from each other and get tips from each other and go, oh, I hadn't thought of that before. Wow. Or somebody shares something, you know, like Jessica, you know, how many of us, I remember I became very sarcastic when I was a kid. You know, Jessica, if you hadn't shared that, yeah. I wouldn't have remembered. I became really mean too. I became very impatient and mean and arrogant. And it was like, boy, that wasn't, you know, that was not a nice way to be, but it was the way I dealt with trauma. Yeah, and probably you too. And when we're full inside, it just is like water off a duck's back. So, hey. Okay, let's see what else we have. Let's see, covered up. I think we're getting through these pretty fast, aren't we? Who and Susan Louise? Who is Susan and Mary Louise? Okay, we've done that, and we know who Shelley is. Shelley, because I mean, you've done a lot of different programs, and here we've got including the machines. What makes this different? You've done so much stuff. You've worked with incredibly wonderful teachers. So what makes this different? I mean, it's, I can say,
for one,
yeah.
For one, the self-help, the doing it for yourself, becoming more aware of yourself and aware of how we're holding our patterns of trauma. You know, I've always thought that in the cranial field that you help others to understand how their body is holding a certain way. But this is actually, you know, just a beautiful way of evaluating, this is my life, I'm wearing this. And that was a trauma, that was part of the past. And how can I help that shift into the present me of who I feel that I'm becoming or I've become, or so I think that really to have the opportunity to do this upon ourselves and really do and really healing ourselves on a level that's cellular, you know, and you're working with the emotions that are there. And we're doing it in a community that is supportive and really aware of what you're going through. I found it really powerful and exciting, and I love my community that I've grown to know, and all of those things that we've been talking about reaching out and connecting, it grows that for you too, because I know as a young child, I was really quiet and shy and didn't come out, for a lot of various reasons and traumas in my life. And I feel like, wow, that isn't who I am anymore. That is a part of my past. And I have a compassion and understanding for it, but that doesn't mean that I have to be bound into that way of being. And so it makes us aware of, oh, Jessica, you had mean girls around you. How dramatic is that? And how you had to conform to be that, to, ward off or guard yourself against. And so I think it brings this awareness to us on such a deep level. And that's why I say it's a sensitivity training. It really makes us aware and compassionate and non-judgmental. These strategies that we have to do to guard ourselves, with family or friends or communities and children in schools or whatever. Those are strategies that can be acknowledged, but they don't have to be a lifelong curse. I think, we can really access a part of ourselves that has the courage to stand up and be who we are and be happy. And when we're happy and joyful, it is going to shine through our face, and we're going to have the expressions that go along with it. It comes from the heart. It comes from deep within us. And what better way to find ourselves, by doing this simple, beautiful self-help. And our face looks great besides that, it's like,
Side effect.
It's not just about that, but it shows. And that's the beauty of it. I think it's, when you see someone that's really true to themselves and happy with who they are, it's going to shine through. And that's what you have to look forward to here.
Wow. Thank you, Shelley. Can I say something about you? Can I?
Sure.
Yeah. I remember when I first met you, and it would have been like around 2000. Yep. And I was assisting Ray Castellino, and you were a student. Yeah. And you were so sweet and very shy back then. Yeah. And I just suddenly, remembered, very shy, very quiet. And in the calls, you've been sharing like such deep, profound stuff, personal stuff with the group that you didn't know before. Yeah? And every time you share, it's inspired others to go deeper in their own work. Yeah? And people love you, and like you radiate. And it's just been such an honor to witness you just being who you are. Yeah, being who you are.
You're an inspiration, Susan. It definitely, it was like the skills and the teachings that you brought us actually allowed me to realize, that I didn't have to play that role of being the shy little, quiet observer. I'm still a good observer, but man, I love engaging now, and I'm not afraid to use my voice. And I feel like even in the work, using your voice, the prosody and the helping people to really start to drop down from that high pace and trauma places. Yeah, it's beautiful. So it's given me permission to be me, to shine and yeah, to find the truth of my core essence and let that be a guiding force in the work.
Wonderful. And Shelley, are you willing to share your core essence? Word
Yes.
phrase? Yeah.
Yes, sure. At first, I was afraid to say it when we were doing our trainings. And but I realized that this had been with me from early on. And my core essence is actually a phrase, and it is a beacon of light. And now I feel free to shine it and to use it in my work as a guiding force and to shine on the truth and with love and compassion. So you can find your core essence word too and let it be who you are. It's fantastic to really claim it, because in that you're claiming yourself and not playing a role or, you know, conforming to conditions. And yeah, so anyway, that's my phrase.
So Shelley, that's your phrase. And as you say it, I'm just, well, let's invite the group, everyone who's listening now and who will be listening to the replay, to just really kind of settle in and notice, you know, how Shelley sharing who she is from her heart, that heart word that's shining and illuminating her face, is resonating with you. So you may want to just, you know, if you're watching the replay, pause this and just notice how it settles in you and what it stirs inside you. And how perhaps Shelley, being this beacon of light, can help you call forth your own core essence, that radiant, luminous essence inside you that can then shine and touch others just by being you. It is exciting, and Shelley, you used that word. It is so exciting. It's kind of beyond exciting. There has to be another word where we support people in lighting up inside, not from outside stuff, but from inside. And you sharing that, touching everyone in the group that you've been working, you know, in our, you know, group, and touching others in your work and across the planet. No accident that you know, connected with me and said, Susan, I'm ready for a whole new level. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you for reaching out, Shelley, because that's the heart, that's the fire, the reaching out connection. That's your Shen, growing and sharing, where you can't hold back anymore. Is that right? You can't hold it back.
No,
You can't hide it.
no, I can't hide it. It's
You
just,
can't hide your light. So that takes us to the next, what was that?
I don't want to.
No, exactly. That takes us to the next question. And Shelley, I just so appreciate, you know, you sharing this. Let me see. Because, you know, people have been asking, can I speak to someone who's done the program? So, yes, Shelley. This is what makes our program so different. I'll just kind of wrap that up. You know, I have, some of you will know, you know, beloved friend I have, her name is Mary Elizabeth Wakefield, who acupuncturist. She teaches wonderful work, and there were other incredible acupuncturists and programs, you know, presented on the Radiant Aging Summit. And what Mary Elizabeth said to me is, there is nothing like this. And she also said a piece, this was years ago, she said, acupuncturists need this piece. You know, we don't really learn this in school. It's probably why I spent, you know, if I graduated in 1990, 82, 83, you know, I spent the next few decades trying to find that inner peace. And why I came up with this program is because how can we teach, you know, wonderful, incredible practitioners not to burn out, to be able to nourish themselves on a very deep level. So that comes to this next. So thank you, Mary Elizabeth, you know, dear beloved Mary Elizabeth Wakefield. So can it help me rejuvenate while I work with clients? That's what the goal was for me and Mary Louise. How can we be more joyful? And some of you have heard me talk about this before. As Shelley said, how can we share our own unique core essence? How can we tap into that and share that and just be that and not be afraid anymore? Yeah? So many of us have been so damaged or punished or for sharing who we are. And this is about having the courage to take that next step. So again, you know, I see so many practitioners with burnout. Will this help me work on my own stuff? You probably got that from Shelley, absolutely. Here, this is a very poignant one that I've heard quite a lot. What if I'm not ready to share my heart and my faith? You know, I want to look good with my faith, but I've had too much trauma. I literally can't face it. And, you know, we go at such tiny baby steps, baby steps. And I'm going to come back to you, Shelley, with this. Can I talk to someone who's already done this whole program online? That would be Shelley. There are others. I had a thought, Shelley. This is a brand new thought, but, you know, all of you bring this out of me to get to the next step. Is, you know, there's some of you in the community that are super experienced and that newbies might want to reach out to those of you who are super experienced for a session. Yeah, it would be a paid session, but you know, you have the skills. You've been working with me, you know, for quite a while now. You know, not just with the natural facial rejuvenation, but with others. And it may be that I'll ask you, you know, and some of the others, to just make a little note. You know, I'm available for student sessions, because that way you're going to grow in your skills, and the students are going to have a level of support. Not just with their own buddies, but also with practitioners who are now graduates who've been through the whole program. So anyway, it's just a thought to help practitioners with their burnout, yeah, and help people who want to work on their own stuff. And people who've had a lot of trauma who maybe just want tiny baby steps and to want to work privately with somebody who has the training, not just an outside practitioner who you're going to have to explain to them what this is about. You're going to have to teach them what you need from them. So it was just a thought. And then we've already covered what's the buddy option. What do you think about that, Shelley?
I love it. I've been doing that for the cranial community since 1998.
Yeah, 20 years,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. And it is, I think it's incredible. I love sharing the skills that I've acquired, and, you know, so that they can step into that next level without having to have years and years of training, like you were saying before.
Yeah.
It's true, you know, the world needs us now more than ever. And I think any amount of help that I can give to a fellow student or, you know, a colleague or whatever, I think is my way of, you know, helping our community to grow and become this life-saving, transforming opportunity to grow and to help others. You know, most of us are doing body work of some sort, and we do it for a reason, is to help others grow. And so I think that it's really, really important to, you know, as myself, to be available to students. And I love I love mentoring students or, colleagues. So I'm open to it, and I'm sure others would be too. So great idea.
Yeah, well, maybe I got it by osmosis from you, but yes, we have some super skilled practitioners in the community. And so what we'll do is reach out and have you, post your little billboard up, hey, I'm available, so that people can find you. This is about, as you've probably got by now, I'm speaking to each one of you, this is about coming out from your mask, coming out from hiding, even if you have a big, thick, strong mask that you had to put on for, your whole life, which I had to do. It's about considering peeking out from behind that mask. We're not making you take the mask away, but we're inviting you to consider sharing a little bit more of yourself, and you can put your mask back on anytime. Yeah, the mask has been protection. So we don't want you to go unprotected, but it's a whole lot more fun, as Shelley was sharing, to be that beacon of light, to use your words. Yeah, that's your phrase. And the more we do that, and I'm sure you'll notice that, Shelley, the more we draw in people that connect at our frequency, our vibration. So what you'll find is that if you feel called to work at this level, that some of your clients may disappear. Don't take that as a criticism. Take that as a compliment, that you are shifting your frequency. And so new people are going to be drawn that really get what you have to share. And that's what I am so thrilled about with, your group, Shelley, for example, is, it's like you're drawing me to greater levels, heights, depths, because you all have been so hungry and asked questions and, shared frequencies and vibrations that we've all had to raise up together. And that's exactly what we need right now. It's not about more techniques. A lot of you have tons of techniques. It's about supporting you gently, in jump starting, and saying, you've got your techniques, you're already very gifted and skilled, and you can do this, from sharing who you are, as opposed to hiding behind all these degrees and letters after our name or whatever it is, trainings. There's something more, and that's what your clients, and that's what women especially are looking for. And when the women get it, the men somehow get it through osmosis. It's astounding. I noticed this was my husband. I would do all the work, and I'd come back from these intense trainings, and he might have been sitting there watching black and white movies or something, and he would have shifted. So they get it. When we get it, they get it, and they want us to thrive and to shine, because then they can too. So, all right. I think, is there anything else? I think we've probably covered. Is there stuff in the chat, Shelley, that you need to share, or is that covered?
And nothing really new.
Okay.
Jessica said, beautifully said.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, I'm not ready to share my heart, my face. We don't push anything. We just notice that it happens. Yep. We notice it happens. And if you have had too much trauma, I'm really, really sorry. And we want to support you in not having to keep recycling it over and over again, and maybe shifting to a different way, which is the third wave. Yeah. I'll talk a little bit about the third wave, and then we'll kind of open it up. So the third wave, that basically I call it the third wave because, well, from my training, it was one of my early teachers was a psychiatrist, Dr. John Pirakos, who trained with Wilhelm Reich, who trained with Sigmund Freud. So there was that direct lineage of, Freud being very Victorian and, with stiff upper, white collars. Reich grew up in the farmyard, and he was, he watched the birds and the bees and the cows and the bulls, and was much more passionate into his orgone energy and life force. And Dr. Pirakos was from Greece. So again, a very passionate man. And they were into breaking down that body armor because Reich knew how passionate and feisty the real life force is, and none of this Victorian, stiff upper lip, hysterical stuff. And so, I spent 4 years with that of breaking down the armor. And I just watched, and I would watch people keep recreating, and the intention was really good. The intention was, if there's not more light at the end of the session because you've broken down the armor and the light can come in, you haven't done your job. And actually, it's the opposite. The light is inside you, and as that light grows, it melts the layers of coagulated, crusty trauma. So I spent a lot of time doing that. And I would sit there. My last years was when I started doing the Ray Castellino training, which was all about the prenatal and birth trauma, and very, very gentle and titration using the Peter Levine work. And I just sat there the last year just crying and crying. I knew I had to complete, because I always had to complete cycles, which you'll be learning about in the program. But I was heartbroken, and I had some people that I worked with to rehabilitate them after their armor had been broken down. And they said the only reason they stayed was because I was sharing my new skills, of how to work with trauma very gently. So then the next wave is more, working with trauma in a very gentle, body-oriented, somatic way, and the biodynamic craniosacral, of course, which is brilliant. And it just seemed very slow. And at the end of all the trainings, I felt I was still recycling. And I knew that there was another level. So standing on the shoulders of giants, they've all been giving us tremendous historical value. And what's happening now with all the research is this joy, the sparkles, the electrical impulses in the brain, that the brain cannot handle trauma and joy and core essence and light and love at the same time. So it's actually neutralizing the trauma and bringing in the joy. And I call that the joy grooves. We've got all kinds of fun language but to just, instead of spending years and decades going through and recycling our trauma, it's like, maybe we don't need to carry it. Maybe we can do this in 15 minutes sometimes. Sometimes if it's more complex trauma, there's layers that we need to unravel very lovingly. But each time I watch people grow. Yeah, just like we did with you, Shelley. Yeah, we've done gentle layers, and I've just watched you like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So the third wave is about, coming from a much more joyful place. If there is trauma, we touch on it lightly, but we keep coming back to the joy and the support and the community. And that community is incredibly powerful. I think I used to underestimate the power of it, but the power of the continual, and I think we had somebody, wasn't it? It was Rafaela, wasn't it, in the early group, who said, I couldn't have done the 5-6 days at Mount Shasta. I was going to sign up for that. It was too much for me. I needed to have every 2 weeks. I needed to have my community. I needed to just do it very, very gently. And that's why I've learned from you that this actually is a very gentle, loving way of doing it online. And then you get to meet. And if you have local live support as well, fantastic. And if you're able to support your own clients live, wonderful. So it's not either or, it's both and more, as I say. And there's a whole bigger piece. So I think we're kind of coming to an end. Shelley, anything you need to say? And then I'll see how anybody else wants to come out from behind their mask and show us their face. I think you've done very well, Judith. You've done very well. Yes, sharing your face. Shelley.
I was just going to say that, going back to the mentorship and everything, is that it can, because, well, I don't think I said where I was from. I'm from just outside of Boulder in Longmont, Colorado. But, I do Zoom for people that are long distance, you know, to connect and be able to mentor, you know, go over skills or whatever in that way too. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for letting me or inviting me. And let's say it's an invitation.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
really
I think your potency
delightful.
called it forth, and it was like, huh?
Good.
Oh, well, I happen to be doing an open house, Shelley. Want to join me? That would be fun. Yeah, which is meant to be. So thank you so much for being on the call and sharing all your wisdom and your huge heart and beautiful face with the group. So really, really honored to have you join us and to have you, you know, participating in this next group, being here with this next group. That's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, thank you. And I see Jessica's popped up. Thank you for joining us. And Shelley, can you read the chat for us?
Jessica just sent me that she's in Tucson, but
Oh, Jessica's in Tucson.
yeah,
Judith.
and grew up in Colorado. Thank you. Judith is saying, you have given me a beautiful new support to try another and releasing new system to access the pain buried within me. I and my family will profit from these releases, peace, love, and courage to be able to expose myself to a new love and land, to a new love land, allow this to show on my face. Yeah, that's Judith.
That's Judith. Thank you so much, Judith. So remember, each one of you, that the special and the super special ends on July the 30th. So we'd love you to join us at this best price ever. After that, we titrate it, so it'll go up to $12.95 for the next month, then $15.95, and then it'll be back to the regular tuition, which is $19.97, which we do have people pay us. Yeah, but this is a special window. So if you found us during this window, and Dr. East, you know, triggered the invitation, although I was planning to do it September, October. So you found us, you've got a special price. So I highly encourage you to make the most of this. And my completely selfish mission is to support you in going out and sharing this with the world, sharing your own heart and face with the world, and being able to if you're already making a difference, to make an even bigger difference. If you're ready to make a difference, then we want you to kind of just gently nudge you. And you're not going to just have Shelley. I suspect you'll have others from our, your group, Shelley, who'll be wanting to do that too and be holding a space. So it's an amazing community. I'm always in awe of all of you. And we invite you to join us. Okay, and don't hesitate to email me if you need. It's info@meridianholistic. It's on all the emails.com. And I'll be here to support you. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody, and lots of love, and looking forward to have you join us soon so that you can get moving and we can get moving into this next level, this next third wave on planet Earth. Okay, who do we have? Who do we have now? We have
Juliet says, this was great. Thank you very much for such rich information. It was wonderful to meet you. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to seeing you all in the class. Bye. Take care, everybody. Thank you, Shelley. Thank you, everybody.